So hello everyone and welcome to this last in our mini-series of webinars for Medicine Safety Week, which we've been holding all this week. Today we're going to have a discussion and we have representatives from each of the yellow card centres. From Scotland, Alex; from Wales, Jenna; from North West, Christine; and from West Midlands, myself and Karen. And our special guest today is Phil Tragano from MHRA, who I will leave to introduce himself.
Thank you, Christopher. Pleasure to be here and to be able to join you today. And thank you to colleagues from YCCs for all of their work through Med Safety Week. It's been fantastic to see all of the social media messages and activities that you've been conducting, and particularly this mini-series. Also, thank you to everyone for joining us today. Appreciate that everyone has particularly busy days at the moment, so it's a real pleasure to be able to talk to you and engage with you through Med Safety Week. And again, thank you for your all of your support through this week. My name is Phil Tragano. I'm Group Manager of Vigilance, Intelligence and Research at the MHRA, and therefore responsible for many of the systems and reporting forms and sites and signal detection activities. So very much looking forward to talking to you about some of that work today.
So if anyone has any questions for any of us about yellow card centres or about aspects of the MHRA work, please type them in the chat to get us going. We've had a brainstorm about some interesting questions. So over to Christine, who will pose these.
Thank you, Christopher, and thank you very much, Phil, for joining us this lunchtime. So the first question we thought might be interesting to discuss was reporter feedback. When we talk to the reporters, they often ask us about feedback from the scheme and whether there's any plans to change it, improve it, or make them feel more engaged. So I wonder if you've got any comments for us on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We know that this is an area that we can do a lot better in. Firstly, I think it's important to say, and it's a real focus of our activities as we move forward over the next 6 months. So we've started off a project to enhance and replace our existing yellow card website with some of the types of systems that we've been developing over the past couple of years. Within this, we've got some really exciting work around engagement. So first of all, thinking about follow-up and how we can interactively engage with people once they've reported to us, and to ensure that we're able to ask valid questions of them that are relevant to the report that they've submitted. So being able to talk to different people in different ways. We know that's equally important on the acknowledgement side. So when someone reports to us, that we can give valuable information to them that's customised again for their particular situation. You're just starting to see the fruits of that in a release that we pushed out in the last couple of weeks, which gives us the ability to do different acknowledgements for medicines and medical devices. But of course, it's not simply about provision of an acknowledgement letter. It's about much more of a two-way engagement process. So that's very much the starting point for us being able to have enhanced and customised feedback for reporters through in relation to both their report, but also any signals that we identify. And we think ultimately that we should be able to engage with people throughout the life cycle of a report, and to be able to clearly identify any regulatory actions that we've been taken and show people how their reports have contributed to medicine safety.
Thank you, Phil. I wondered if you had anything further to say about the signal reporting information, and whether or not you can share with us, what that might look like.
Yeah, so firstly, I think it's important to say that when we leave the European Union on the 1st of January, we will have a responsibility to be publishing signals so that we identify from the yellow card scheme. So we are looking to make changes reasonably quickly to enable us to make that information available and transparent. We think transparency is extremely important in relation to signals that are identified. However, that first step will likely be simply publishing information onto the yellow card website. I think we need to go further than that. We need to be able to link those signals to products that people are interested in. We need to be able to provide people with notifications if they are products that are of particular interest, whether that is to a prescriber who may be working in a specialist area, or whether it's to a patient or a carer who is either taking a particular medicine or being or providing a medicine to someone that they care for. So again, and linking to the theme around feedback, we know that we need to be pretty customised and pretty specific in the types of information that we provide to people. Publishing signals is a first step, but we need to be able to get that information to the right point in the care pathway on the healthcare side, and to be able to provide timely and useful information to patients and carers. So there's a whole range of activities, and you'll really see this start to develop over the course of the next, I'll say, 6 to 9 months as we begin to replace some of the systems that we're working through at the moment. And indeed, as we think about things like pandemic vaccines, you'll start to see some of these systems and tools that I'm talking about start to appear. So a lot of this development work is ongoing, and then will slowly be added to systems as we move forward. But news, information, transparency are all very much high on the agenda for us.
Thank you. That's good to know, and we'll all be looking out for changes, and so that we can share those proactively with our, with our colleagues and champions. I suppose you've alluded to kind of changes. One of the things that we've been asked about and we're thinking about is the artificial intelligence, and is there any role for that in the way that yellow cards are processed?
Yeah, we think so. We've actually recently begun a project looking specifically at use of artificial intelligence to assist us in how we might process reports associated with COVID-19 vaccines should they come to fruition. We know there's potential to receive very large volumes of ICSRs, adverse drug reaction reports, because of the potential size and scale of the vaccination campaign, and because of the unprecedented number of people that will be potentially receiving those products. So we've been looking at how we can use that technology as an assurance for us in making sure that all of the information, for instance, from the narrative, is it coded into the structured elements that we use for signal detection. Now, of course, this will be subject to careful and robust quality assessment. It's novel technology, but we do believe that we can gain some efficiency within our processes by use of this technology. And of course, it's important to us, particularly at the moment, that we make all very best use of technology that's available to us to ensure that we have the most robust surveillance system in place that we can. We are, of course, also looking at our longer term future state. And again, we believe that artificial intelligence has an important role in that. But equally, looking externally, it will be important for the MHRA as a whole to be considering carefully how we regulate machine learning and artificial intelligence technology, as that type of technology is implemented into medical devices and systems that you are all involved in using. So as a further enhancement to the yellow card scheme, we'll be adding a technology reporting form. Instance for technology and artificial intelligence can be reported to us. And we're working closely with colleagues at NHSX and the AI Lab, which is a government-funded scheme to embed and utilise and maximise the potential of artificial intelligence to ensure that there is also adequate reporting for safety and management of those types of systems. So a huge amount of work across the agency, both in relation to healthcare products, how we regulate, and also how we ensure that pharmaceutical industry are using these technologies in an appropriate way. It's very much a core pillar of the work that we'll be doing as an agency over the coming 12 months.
Great. It's good to hear that there's so much going on, and I suppose the situation we're in at the moment with the pandemic has kind of focused everybody's minds very much more on doing things electronically and without contact with people. So I suppose the next question is, you have the COVID portal set up, and we know that we've been encouraged to encourage people to make reports via that portal as well as via the Yellow Card scheme portal. Is there anything that's come out of the portal? Are there any learnings that have come out of that with regards to the safety of the medicines that are being used in the pandemic?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I guess we can't necessarily get into specifics of individual issues because partly because we have multiple different reporting forms that are set up for various different purposes. What I would say is that we've had a huge amount of engagement with the coronavirus Yellow Card site, particularly in relation to medical devices, interestingly. And this is the first time we've been able to have common forms for medicines and medical devices sitting closely alongside each other. Where we want to be is that people can simply tell us what product they want to report on, and then be presented with appropriate questions for that product, not to have to think about whether they're reporting on a medicine or a device or a combination product, and to be able to progress in that direction. There have been some concerns identified, particularly in the early phase of the first lockdown, where we were seeing people potentially not using their medicines as you might expect, partly because of the lack of ability to engage with the healthcare system. And because we were able to identify those types of trends, we were able to very quickly flag up with colleagues in the public health systems, both in the UK and the devolved administrations, to ensure that they are aware of the potential changes with people not taking medicines or not using them in the ways that were expected, and enable public health messaging to encourage use and encourage engagement with the healthcare system, even through different routes. So I think we've seen significant value from having a specific dedicated portal for coronavirus, for COVID-19, and I think also that's enabled us to progress with some of the technology development on the reporting side that perhaps might otherwise have taken a fair amount of time. I would say, though, that these systems are very much on a roadmap for development and enhancement. And I think we need feedback from colleagues on the call, from Yellow Card centres, but also from all of you that have been able to join. Tell us what you need, because we know that these are a starting point rather than an end point. And we want to be able to continuously develop and evolve these systems such that they are genuinely meeting your need at the point of care or at the point where people are taking a medicine. So there's a lot to do, and we've kicked off a programme of engagement with colleagues and stakeholders. We'd very much encourage engagement of that, or to feedback to us through YCCs, through the Yellow Card centres, and to be able to get that information to us so we can make sure that we are maximising the potential of those systems.
It's exciting times, isn't it? So much going on, and that's great. So much to learn and share. We haven't had any questions come into the chat box. I've got maybe a couple more here. I might ask one more question that we've collected. Have my colleagues got anything that they've thought of or that's come up that they want to chip in with before we kind of almost tie up?
I think I'd quite like to turn it round to you and ask what you would like to see in terms of our reporting systems. I think to everyone on the call, there's a massive opportunity for us over the next 12 months for us to significantly change and enhance our systems. So we're very much in listening mode and would really like your feedback.
Phil, I would say that developments on feedback will be remarkably beneficial to the scheme, because we did some research about 15 years ago now that showed reporters liked feedback. Feedback encouraged them to engage even more. So I think that will be exceptionally beneficial. So we look forward to that very much.
And I think that going along the signal information that might come out on the signals, I think people can understand would be able to understand how their reports feed into the changes that happen, and having a bit of a feel for the process that's gone through from receiving a yellow card, because many people think that as soon as the yellow card for an adverse reaction goes in, that immediately a change will be made. But as we all know, these things take time and they have to go through a process, and it takes a lot of consideration. So being able to share that, I think, actively will be very, very helpful. I think there was one question I did want to ask. We're very lucky in the yellow card centre areas because we receive the feedback from the MHRA for our own areas, which we can share with the trusts and with the CCGs. And health boards in the areas that we work, but there is obviously the big part of the UK that's not covered by yellow card centres, and how would they best get that data for themselves? Can they approach the MHRA directly?
Yeah, absolutely. So colleagues are more than welcome to approach us directly for local data, and indeed actually it's something that we're thinking about through as we replace our systems. Clearly we provide quarterly extracts of data to yellow card centres at the moment. It would be much more useful for you to be able to see that live and online, and be able to simply log in and see reporting patterns and analytics for the areas that you're responsible for. So I think as we move forward with our systems, we'll be thinking about how we can give access to back-end analytics for specific areas to enable people to log in and see information associated with your local areas. And of course, we have a critical function around supporting our yellow card centres, but we also need to ensure that that type of information is available elsewhere and in other systems. So yeah, absolutely, people should feel free to reach out to us.
I think we at the Yellow Card Centre West Midlands discussed with our AHSN about putting it on RX info. So that's where we probably look at antimicrobial data and hospitals compare themselves. So I think because that's already readily accessed by a lot of people, including now in primary care, the platform is already there.
Thank you, Karen. Has anybody got else? Anyone got anything else? Anything else you'd like to say, Phil, or us, or ask us, or the group?
No, well, first of all, thank you for organising these sessions. As I said at the start, it's been absolutely fantastic to see the engagement online for these sessions, also the engagement through your social media channels, and from everyone on the call that's been able to post and retweet and share information about their Safety Week. Raising awareness is an absolutely critical activity. In the Independent Medicines and Medical Devices Safety Review, we have a very clear mandate for enhancing the awareness of the yellow card scheme, which of course is the core role of the yellow card centres and the MHRA. And we hope and intend that this gives us a platform to be able to move forward with our plans around publicity and awareness, such that we can really have a long-lasting and significant impact on the safety of medicines and medical devices, and therefore positively influence public health. We know that we have a lot of work to do to achieve those goals, and we can only do that with the support of healthcare professionals and with the support of patients and stakeholders. So we really want to bring you along with us on that journey, and to be able to continue these types of discussions, not just over the next 12 months, but long into the future. So also thank you, and we're very much looking forward to working with you going forwards.
Thank you very much, Phil, and thank you everyone who's joined us. And I hope you found it valuable. As with all of the other webinars in this series, we will be posting links to the YouTube recordings online. We will be sharing those links so that people can pick them up and have a look and have a listen going forward. There may be other questions that we pick up, and we will let you know. Thank you very much. Thank you to everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure, hasn't it, Christopher, putting this on for everybody. And it's really brought us together and makes us feel much more of a team, a national team from all of the devolved administrations. Well, sorry, not Ireland, but yet. But yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you everybody that's taken part this week. As Christine said, we will make the recordings available, so please spread them far and wide. Thank you very much to Phil for joining us today. I'm sure with everything that's going on that the MHRA are extremely busy at the moment, so thanks very much, Phil. And just one lasting thought from me, remember that ADR reporting is not just for Med Safety Week, but for life. So we look forward to all your reports, and thank you, everyone.